Patrina Dixon is a certified financial education instructor, a registered financial consultant, a two-time best-selling author and speaker. She's the founder and the CEO of It's My Money, and she has been on all sorts of media outlets like Black Enterprise, Yahoo Finance, Real Simple, and Fox 61. Patrina even has her very own local TV show entitled It's My Money, and she teaches personal finance workshops in high schools, colleges, universities, businesses, prisons, detention homes, and at events around the country. Patrina is helping people transform their lives by mastering money management skills. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, mastering your money. As we know, divorce is a really tough time financially for women. And I find that as women are going through the divorce process, they really have two main concerns that really touch women across the board. What's going to happen to my kids? And what's going to happen to my money? So part of my mission here at the Divorce Money Guide is helping women really take control of their money. And I know you haven't gone through a divorce yourself, Patrina, and you're in a long-term marriage, but your favorite roles in life are that of wife and mom. So I know you get it when it comes to many of the issues that women have with money when they're divorcing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I haven't been through it, but I have met with a lot of people that have. And I had my own money struggles before being married. So yes, I completely can relate.
Is there anything you're willing to share with us about your money struggles, just to give us a little frame of reference as to where you're coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, Tracy, I want to say thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. So my personal money struggles, and I've been very transparent about this, is that I climbed the corporate ladder and I made money as I went up each rung of that ladder. And each time I made more, I spent more. The spending got greater and greater and greater. I didn't have a concept at all about saving and compound interest, investing and things of that nature. It was like, get the corporate job, buy the house and have all the credit cards, paying the credit cards, saving, owning things other than having a house that I had a mortgage on was not things that I was taught, nor was in my home, nor in school or elsewhere. So I was in a bad place as it pertains to money, meaning not saved, credit score not in a great spot either.
What was that catalyst that caused you to make a change and learn more about money?
Oh my gosh. There are things that got to it, but it was really like, what am I doing? Like, why am I going in this circle? Why do I keep having this great time on the weekend? So I call it Friday fun and then Monday regret. And that is, what did I do? Where did the money go? Why are the bills stacking up? And it was that. It was like, I have to do something different. I was a single parent at the time, and my daughter was growing older, asking for things that were costing more and more. And I just felt defeated and I wanted to do something different. So I went out and became I call it a shrewd student of money.
What did you start with when you wanted to learn more about money?
Yeah, so I'm going to say this about my story because it is really a part of my story, but then I'm going to end with something else. And that is, it was Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. I followed their strategies and the things that they taught. This has been years ago. So now that I tell you those are the two that helped me, now I'm the one that can help you. So quickly forget those names and now know mine, Patrina Dixon. But yes,
Right. Let's dive in to where divorcing women can start with money management. What is the easiest and best first step that a woman could take?
Get rid of the guilt. Whatever didn't happen, whatever you didn't know, if you're the person that's no longer in your life was for whatever the reasons are, was the person that was in charge of the money. They're not anymore. So just get over that. It's okay. I love Tracy's platform because hopefully now you know you're not the only one. And just know that you can do it. You can do it. Find somebody that you know, like, and trust, and begin to work through it that way. So I think that that's the first part, because it's the mindset shift, getting over the emotions of what happened and how you can move forward with now that you're in whatever position you are in now.
I certainly see that many, many women in divorce deal with a lot of shame. Number one, they feel shame because of the end of their marriage, even though we know it's super common for marriages to end. But they also deal with shame surrounding money. And many times it's because they weren't actively involved in managing the family's money. And now that they're getting divorced, they don't know what's been going on. They don't know if they're getting cheated. They just don't even know, where do I start with the budget and all these kinds of things. And so I am on a personal mission to reduce that shame. So I'm so glad that your first tip was, let's get rid of the guilt.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. And again, love what you do because I think so let's talk about that's over, get rid of the guilt. Now it's about just roll up your sleeves and learn. Like I mentioned earlier, I learned when I was in a different place, wasn't divorced, but it was in a money situation that I wanted to do better. I wanted to have a better credit score. I wanted to have money saved. So if that's what you want and that is not your current situation, don't let divorce be the hindrance from you moving forward. Just get the support that you need. Just like, I know many women and people recognize when their car needs help, when you need your oil change, when you need your tires rotated, you bring it to the right place. So do the same thing with your money. If that's not a skill set you have, or you hadn't been involved in that process during the marriage, then work with somebody to get you to that place and then take the baby steps to get you there. It's okay. It's okay. And I am here to tell you, as a woman, not a divorced woman, but a woman in general. So the divorce part is a part, but you're a woman and you can do whatever it is you want to do if you're putting your mind to it. And the only difference between you and somebody else that's doing it is execution.
I want to talk about making really big financial leaps. So many of the women that I work with are really concerned just about being able to pay their rent or put food on the table and things like that. They probably can't see, like, how do I get ahead financially when I'm just barely struggling to get by? And, typical advice is, well, don't go get coffee at the coffee shop, right? And sure, that's helpful. That saving that money helps, but it's not going to get your rent paid next month. So, if a woman wants to make some big financial strides, what kind of advice do you have?
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I love Starbucks. So get the Starbucks. Maybe not get it 7 days a week, but if that's what you need because that brings you peace, then I tell you, get that cup if that's what you need. But so to answer your question specifically is this is what I say. Personal finance is personal, right? So I can't say there isn't a one magic thing that can work for everyone. So the best thing that I can say to you is sit down with your money, figure out where it's going, right? What do you have coming in? What's going out? And if it's that big feat, like you can't pay rent, you don't have enough coming in, the only math, and I know this is not proper English, is if the math ain't mathing, then you have to do something else, right? If you don't have enough coming in, you have more going out than when you have come in, you have to get more in. So think about how you can leverage skills you already have to earn extra money. So for example, I had a client who was a single, she was actually a single parent, not divorced, but a single parent. She already picked up her kids from school and sometimes picked up another one of her little daughter's friends. So I said, why not turn that into picking up a couple kids? Therefore, you have somebody for your kids to play with. You can charge that family, whatever it is you want to charge for the day or for the weekend doing that. Maybe get them some pizza for the day. So that became her thing. She was the mom who picked up. She charged for that service. She kept them to whatever time she did after school. So it wasn't a long period of time and it may not be a lot, but it was something she was already doing anyway that she expanded into making it a business. So think about it from that perspective. Do you know how to bake? Do you know how can you get extra money in without needing to pay to get extra skills because you don't want to add to the debt? So that's one of the ways that you can work to, pay that mortgage, pay that rent, or pay whatever it is. And then again, knowing your numbers, seeing what it is. Is it you can't pay your rent? Is it you're $60 off from being able to make it? And then that's how you can fill in that gap for where the variance is.
So, a lot of this is based on really knowing your numbers. And I'm a huge fan. I always talk about you've got to have your spending plan in order. You've got to know what you're spending every month because you can't get right with your money unless you know where you stand.
That's right. That's exactly right. I always say to folks, when I started working with them, and even in groups, like who's ever worked before, and then people will raise their hand, and I'm like, who still has the first dollar from their first paycheck? And then you see, sometimes there's still hands up. But what the point in that visual exercise is, the money will spend. It's about you controlling it where it's going. So you have to understand the flow of it. What do I have coming in and where I'm going to tell it to go? Because it's eventually going to go somewhere and you want to be the director of where it goes. And that is, and I know it's a word that a lot of people don't like, but it's called budgeting. It is a real exercise that you should do every time you get paid. And if you don't like the word, then change the name of the exercise. My name is Patrina. I can call it the Patrina meeting. I can call it the money day. I can call it whatever I want. I can call it whatever. As long as you're doing it every time you get paid, it will literally change how you're thinking about the money because you're seeing where it's going every time that you do it.
I know that people listening are probably having some anxiety for some of them, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to sit down every payday and look at my money. That causes me anxiety. I'm scared to look at it. But I'll tell you what, I feel like knowing what's going on with your money over time is going to build confidence with you. And it's actually going to lead to reduced anxiety because you're going to know, hey, for the next 2 weeks, I've got my bills covered and I don't have to worry. A payment for rent going to bounce or is a credit card payment going to bounce? I know it's all covered.
That's exactly right. And Tracy, this is how say folks, it's empowering. Really, when you begin to do it, you will feel empowered. I'm not going to say there may not be anxiety, especially if you've never done it before. But Tracy couldn't have said it any better than she did. Is it will become empowering because you will know exactly, not thinking, not guessing, exactly what you have, how much you have to do whatever it is that you would like to do. The other thing I want to add here is oftentimes people have some shame in the fact that they can't continue activities with, say, friends or family members because they don't have, two incomes or whatever have you. So you don't have to use the words I don't have it, right? I don't have enough money to the kids, to the family, to whoever. Just make the decision and choose words that say you can't do it without saying you don't have enough money. Because I think sometimes that phrasing is what people are uncomfortable with sharing with others. That people will know a little bit more about them than they want about their finances. So just be like, oh, today I'm going to stay in and watch Law and Order or whatever it is that you watch. I watch Law and Order, so that's why I say that. So just get comfortable with saying that you're not going to do whatever it is that you would typically do, and then find time within the budget. Okay, maybe 2 weeks from now, when you get asked that same question, yep, you can go because you plan for that accordingly, and then you feel empowered. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to cause you not to pay your rent or to be late on your car payment. You really have room in the budget to do so.
And I think it feels very empowering and it instills confidence if I am able to say, Patrina, I'm choosing to stay in tonight, but in a couple of weeks, I'd love to go out to dinner with you. Could we put it on the calendar for then? Because I know that it's in my budget and I'm saying no to something, but at the same time, I'm saying yes, and I have something to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's what they call that loud budgeting now. So exactly right. And here's the other thing. You may be the person that awakens something in somebody else. Somebody else may need to do what you're doing. And then once you start to do that, they begin to make changes that may be saving them for from financial ruin as well. So you just never
Right?
know what that may turn into.
Okay. Do you have some creative ways that we can look to save money?
Oh man, there's so many. So first I would say look at what you're spending money on, right? And I'm not the one to say don't buy that coffee, don't buy that whatever it is that you buy. What I do say is consider reducing it. So that's one way to save money. Reducing your expenditures, that's one way. Cable, that's another. I know it's one where people I like to watch my live news or whatever have you. Cutting cable, that one actually was even a hard one for me, but I don't miss it now that I have done that. So that's another way. Another thing is doing a trip. So say you have to go to the pick up your kids from school, you got to go to grocery shopping or whatever have you. Planning those trips, or you're doing them on one cycle or going across town, doing everything on the other side of town, as opposed to going back and forth 2 and 3 times a week if it's not picking up the kids from school or something like that. So planning out so that you're, if it's driving in the gas that you're needing to put in your car, it gets reduced. The price of that, of the times you have to fill your car, by reducing the trips. So planning that out accordingly. Even this little tip, um, Making sure you understand, no matter what type of car you have, the highest octane gas that you need. I was putting 93 octane in my car because it was a, high-end car. I needed that. I didn't need 93. I can use 91. There is a big difference in $45 fill up than a $69 fill up. So, and just imagine, I drive a lot. So just imagine that change in doing that. So little subtle things. You don't have to go big. You can, but you can do subtle things that will make a difference. And when you begin to track that accordingly, you'll see the reduction in your expenses, increase in paying off your bills, then paying when you pay down credit cards, all of that stuff will the empowering feeling you will have, the transformation of your thoughts about money will be different as well.
Now, I'm not going to lie, when you were talking about planning your trip to go to the grocery store, where I thought you were going with that was planning what you're going to buy at the grocery store and really sticking to that plan because groceries have gotten so expensive.
That's exactly right. That's another great tip. I mean, the list is endless, so that's an additional tip, right? So plan what you're going to spend at or what you're going to buy at the grocery store. Have that list before you go. Stick to that list. Go from name brand items to not name brand items. There's some things that people just can't go away from. And that's fine if that's what you need to do because again, I don't want you to be like I have gone so thin, so taste brand I'm not familiar with, and then you're mad and then you're throwing your hands up and then you're just going to revert back to old. So do things subtle.
Right.
Have those things die daily and then figure out where you need to make those changes. So yes, definitely having that list going to the grocery store so you're not just buying because you're hungry and then you're in line and you're picking up the things that are near the register like a lot of us do.
I think cutting everything way back in that culture of deprivation I mentioned earlier to me is really damaging because it's not sustainable for the long term. And so
Yeah.
I always tell my clients that I work with if you love that fancy coffee at the coffee shop, then maybe get it once or twice a week on a particular day where you're looking forward to it. And the other days, make it at home. But to say you're going to completely cut it out, that just isn't sustainable. And you don't have to be miserable to be budgeting responsibly.
You better go, girl. Exactly right. You don't. I love that's what I said. Reduce. If you used to go 7 days a week like I do, and then you go a couple times a week, the other thing that it does, Tracy, when you do that, it tastes even better to me because when you go every day, it's like the same, like you're so used to it. That's what you do. But when you make some at home and then you eventually get some out, 2 or 3 days a week, it feels like a treat that you've given yourself. And that's another way to boost, like you
Yes.
feel good. You have that smile because you just ran out for the day. If you work at home, let me run out and get that Starbucks for the day. Let me get away maybe from something that's going on at home. You go get that Starbucks and you come back and now you go on. But the next day you make it downstairs. So anyway, that's definitely a way to go. It's the way that I encourage for the sustainability. Absolutely.
When it comes to money management, people spend a lot of time focusing on the expense side and managing things there, which we've talked about, but the income side is important too. And we did mention that a little bit. I hear people talking about passive income, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit about what that is and some examples of ways that people might be able to earn some passive income.
Yes, girlfriend. So when you hear people say, I make money in my sleep, that's a real thing, an absolute real thing. So there's a few different ways. So one, creating digital products, right? So you can create a digital product on Canva. So let's just say 10 tips to creating a podcast, right? Create that digital product, make that available on your website or Etsy or whatever, and you promote it accordingly. And then people can purchase it literally while you sleep. So passive is, let me tell you the definition of that before I give you a couple other examples. Passive is you take a little bit of time up front, create whatever it is you're creating or doing or being a part of. So you have some upfront effort. And then the item, the thing, the course, whatever it is, becomes available for sale. And it happens whenever. When you don't know, you're not actively trying to get that sale every single day. So that's passively. So you wake up and you have notifications that you've gotten payment. So one way is digital products. Another way is being affiliates of other products. So if you don't have a product, a course or service or a book, you can become a partner, or it's often called affiliate of someone else's product, service, course. And every time it sell, you get a portion of that. You have to get a unique URL or link that the product owner, the book owner, the course owner would give you. And then you have to utilize that, like put it on your website, put it in your blog, put it in your text message, whatever, however you're communicating it. And then once they purchase using your specific link, you can earn money passively. So that's another way. If you, another good way is if you are an author and you write a book. So it takes some time, takes maybe even money, effort to write that book, make that available on Amazon, and the book sells, the book sells, the book sells, you make money passively. So those are three ways that you can earn money passively, but the list, there's a long list of how you can make money passively.
I love it. I want to wrap up with your favorite money management tip for women who are going through divorce.
Oh man. So you all know I'm known as the money lady. So I'm trying to think of my favorite tip. I would say budgeting. You just can't get away from that. You have to know the how your money is flowing in and how it's flowing out. So we call that management of cash flow. It's commonly known as budgeting. So I would say absolutely by far, no matter what you're doing, and no matter and a woman divorced or not, personal or business, you need to understand the income and the outlay. So that's what I would say is managing your cash flow.
I am totally on board with that as a really important money management tip. Tell us, Patrina, where can we find you to get more help with our money?
Absolutely. So I'm everywhere on social media at it's my money underscore. That's ITSMYMONEY underscore. My website is it's mymoney.info. So .info, not .com. So it's mymoney.info. And I also have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and they're both It's My Money with Patrina Dixon. So thank you so much for having me on, and hopefully this will help you along your journey. And this is what I will say, Tracy, if you don't mind, I'll leave with this. The only situation that can place a limitation to your money destination is procrastination. So just do it. You got this, girl.
I love it. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tracy, for having me.